Meditation and spiritual life, Swami Yatiswarananda. Practice of brahmacharya, physical aids. Now the question is, how to practice strict continence? What are the rules to be observed? First of all, make it a point never to give the enemy a frontal attack. There is an art of fighting the senses which must be learnt. Never be too violent. Sometimes without first creating the right mood, we want to overcome the senses by extreme violence. That is very dangerous and should never be attempted. Sometimes, remaining in a lower mood, we try to control ourselves in a most violent manner without rising to a higher plane. Then, naturally, there come the most violent reactions, physical as well as mental, and our whole progress is retarded or even stopped altogether. So, with an effort of the will, we should first raise the mind and create the higher mood. First step, raise the mind, create higher mood. Then, with a little force, everything is accomplished. We should never quote the danger of violent reactions. Regarding this point, Brother Giles gives a fine advice. He who wishes to move a large stone or any other great weight and carry it to any other place must try to move it rather by ingenuity than by force. And so, if we desire to overcome the vice of impurity and to acquire the virtue of chastity, we must set to work rather by way of humility and by a good, discreet method of spiritual discipline than by a rash and presumptuous use of penitential austerities. What a wonderful advice! Just think of the lever action. The action of a crowbar, for instance. The simple device enables you to rise heavy weights, which you can never move with your bare hands. The fun is, with reference to the things of the world, we are so wise and careful, so ingenious and practical, but with reference to spiritual life and practice, we are so foolish and careless. But in the case of the great mystics, the opposite is true. They were intensely practical on the spiritual side. They were indifferent to worldly prosperity, but extremely alert and methodical regarding spiritual matters. People try to employ various physical means to overcome the sex drive. Some of these have a limited effect, but one should not depend on them too much. Swami Brahmananda says, there are certain rules which a brahmacharian must observe. He must avoid exciting food, oversleeping, over-exercise, laziness, bad company, and evil conversations. Some people try violent physical exercise. Though this takes off the surplus energy, it is never the right method. Those who want to practice brahmacharya should see that they don't accumulate more energy in the body than they can handle. If they find more vital energy rising in them, they should reduce their food for a few days. There is a basic creative urge in all of us. If this is not submitted and directed to higher channels, it tries to find expression in lower centers. Those beginners who find it impossible to think of God always, who cannot transmute all their energy into meditation, prayer, and worship of the Lord, should employ themselves in some creative work. Along with this, studies and deep thinking are also helpful. Always keep the higher centers active. Regulated breathing is a great help in keeping the mind calm. When the mind is restless, all sorts of emotions and impulses crop up. Practice rhythmic breathing always. This will give you a sense of control over your entire body and will make your mind alert. But this does not mean pranayama, which is dangerous for the majority of aspirants to practice. Instead of that, just practice rhythmic breathing. One of the most important habits to be cultivated by all is cleanliness of body. Keep your body and clothes clean and pure. Bathing and washing should not be taken only as a ritual, as is often done in India. Physical cleanliness must be associated with mental cleanliness. The most important point is to attain purity of mind. Patanjali says, by the practice of purity, there arises aversion to one's own body and disgust for contact with other bodies. Shauchat swang jugupsa parairasansargah. However, this should not degenerate into what psychologists call washing mania, which is a kind of mental disease. Commenting on the above sutra of Patanjali, Swami Vivekananda says, when there is real purification of the body, external and internal, there arises neglect of the body, and the idea of keeping it nice vanishes. A face which others call most beautiful will appear to the yogi as mere animal, if there is not intelligence behind it. What the world calls a very common face, he regards as heavenly if the spirit shines behind it. This thirst after body is the great bane of human life. So, the first sign of the establishment of purity is that you do not care to think you are a body. It is only when purity comes that we get rid of body ideas. Holy company is a great help in the observance of chastity. Contact with pure-hearted people who themselves have observed strict continence has a profound influence on struggling aspirants. But in order to profit by this contact, the aspirant should avoid the company of immoral people. It's like you're filling a pitcher with water, but it has holes. Nothing is perhaps more harmful for the maintenance of brahmacharya than the company of bad elements.